For Ireland and Britain, geography has always been as important as ideas in determining our history. But because we Irish didn't have an empire, we've no delusions of grandeur. We realised that we had to make alliances, and the choice we made was to position ourselves halfway between Europe and America, which wasn't a bad choice, because what we got was the solidity of Europe and the dynamism of the United States. But now the world has changed dramatically, and countries need to tear up the rule book. We've got to be responsible for our own actions, and sometimes we've got to say no as well as yes. In this programme, I tried to reimagine a new Ireland that took responsibility for its own actions. But today, world demands suggest that all countries, not just Ireland, have to rethink old certainties. Ireland is having the time of its life. For a country that was exporting people and cattle not too long ago, the transformation has been startling. The distinctions between left and right, rural and urban, natives and foreigners, educated and uneducated are all evaporating. But the most significant blurring is in the classes. The vast majority of us are climbing the ladder at a rate not seen anywhere in Europe in 40 years. We are now a middle-class nation, an expectocracy who want it all and want it now. Well, I'm sure you, like me, are wondering how long we can keep the party going. A short look back into history might give us the answers we're looking for.
Young people of Ireland, I love you.
In 1906, the world looked like a very stable place. Here in Ireland, we are probably more British than we ever had been. Home rule was slowly on the cards. Around the world, the outlook was also calm. The British Empire was the biggest player on the bloc and still expanding. Capitalism reigned and globalization ruled the waves. The Austrian-Hungarian Empire and the Ottoman Empire together ruled most of Europe, but in general, a European-dominated world was at peace. The most fashionable investment were Russian railway bonds, and the outlook looked calm. Just as Ireland and the world in 1906 looked calm, only to be convulsed by war, death, and monumental economic, political and social change, there is absolutely nothing today to suggest that the same might not happen again. The lesson from history is that what seems stable today can change dramatically tomorrow. So is there a plan B for Ireland if history repeats itself? For example, how are we going to deal with China, with immigration, or a doubling in monthly mortgage payments? When things are going well, it's by far the best time to take responsibility. Because by the time things go pear-shaped, it's too late. To anticipate these challenges, it's important to understand how we got here in the first place. The races are a perfect habitat to observe the new Ireland. The showy plumes of the female perfectly turned out, while the alpha male of the species eagerly awaits the big race. The races captures the priorities of the Pope's children like no other venue. Everyone expects to win. We all have the power to beat the bookie. We are placing bets, sitting back and waiting for winners. The market is only going one way, and that is up. One of the reasons for our success is that politically we have been riding the EU horse, which up to now was a one-way bet. 50 on the EU. Thank you. Now, we've done very well out of this ride. Sometimes it's not appreciated just how well we've done, but much of the talk and the analysis has been based on their money, their infrastructural funds, building our roads. But that only tells only half the story. It misses the central point, something much more interesting, and financially much more significant was going on. In the last 20 years, we've gone from being a country with too many people and not enough money to a country with not enough people and far too much credit. So where did all the money come from, and whose cash is it anyway? This cash that was the booster fuel to the rocket that launched the Pope's children. Let's go back, right back to the winter of 1992. I was an economist in the central bank, the custodian of the currency. And I suppose it's fair to say with that class of advice, the country was facing yet another economic crisis. Unemployment was rising. 1 in 6 of us was out of a job. Confidence had evaporated. Immigration was on the up. House prices were 300% below where they are today. And interest rates, emergency interest rates, were over 100%. The foreign reserves, the so-called gold of the country, was evaporating as money flowed out of the place. Yet again, Ireland was facing economic crisis. Yet again, we were the dunces of the economics class. While it was becoming increasingly apparent to everyone that the punt was on the verge of collapse that winter, the government and the central bank repeated the mantra of no devaluation. Little Ireland was about to learn the first lesson of globalization. You can't buck the market. So on the 30th of January 1993, Ireland devalued. This currency crisis that was echoed across Europe had other, more far-reaching ramifications. It forced the EU to accelerate the arrival of the euro. The arrival of the euro gave us something we had never had before: never-ending credit. This economic shift would have a colossal impact on the Irish psyche. It changed how we look at the world. So within a few short years, we went from a society fixated by the past, hemmed in by low expectations and a complete lack of credit, to a society that dreams and lives in the future. Well, this liberation, this very emancipation, came about not via hard politics, but via soft credit. If you could see us now, the original liberator, Daniel O'Connell, would probably turn in his grave.